Welcome to another Roboflow training movie. In this training movie, we will see how we can work with folders and subfolders of a drop folder. Imagine that you have some files in a hot folder, and these files are either in the root of that folder or in subfolders, and you want to use the information of those subfolders or of the name of the files. So how can you do that? Well, let's see. Let me show you what the workflow does first. When you start the workflow, it will catalog the files, and let's say here in the sample catalog that it will be adding new files. Here they are. And when you look in the notes field, it will say subfolder nothing. So apparently Putter2 was not in a subfolder. Then if you have a look at Vink10, it was in a folder called birds. And you ask for the subfolder, you will get birds/ and the name. And if you go further down, you will see there was one in birds nice, and there was another one in birds nice fly. How did we do that? Well, if we have a look at Roboflow, we can see that we have a hot folder template, which is a workflow that processes newly dropped files. And this was my folder that I was looking in. Here it is. Unfortunately, once it has processed the files, they're gone. We'll cover that part in a few seconds. So in this workflow, you can use this instruction to get a part of the file. So I'm asking, for instance, for the file name. You could ask for the file path, the folder name. So folder name is just the folder it resides in. Folder path is the complete path of the folder it resides in. File path is a complete file, etc., etc. File name extension, so the extension of the file name, the file names without the extension. And so all these things you can ask for, and then you can output that. Now there is one that you don't need to ask for in a hot folder and watch folder workflow. When it is gathering the files, it will always store a variable called hot subfolder. That is the path within your folder. So that's the value that we saw in here. Birds nice fly. Well, that was where that file was residing. So that's how we get that information in here. This is just outputting to the log. So after doing that, I opened a catalog. I cataloged the file, and I've set a text field value. So that's here the value that has been set with the inline tag instructions, again picking up the information from the workflow. This was the one that the file name that we picked up from the first instruction here, the file name. And that one is variable information that it stores automatically. You could ask, how could I have known about this one? Well, if you do hash, a drop down will appear, and you get all the variables that exist, like Cumulus permission template comes from your global parameters, from your global settings, same as this one, that one too, that one too, that one too. Hot folder comes from your, because you're in a hot folder workflow, that's the text path to your current folder, hot folder. Then hot subfolder is one it adds automatically. File name, so here starts the list of the ones that you added and that you added to the script. So this part might be different depending on the script, depending on the type of workflow, but this one will always be, these 5 will always be there. And then depending on the workflow, it will have a couple of these as well. And then finally the ones that you added. And below you have the placeholder instructions that are most commonly used. There are others, but these are the most commonly used: an uppercase, a lowercase, a trim, etc., etc., a number format, a date format, a simple date time, etc., etc. And so application folder. So all of these can be used that way. And then of course never forget to close a catalog once you opened it. If you want to get the folder path, if you want to strip, for instance, that last slash, then you could do something like this. You could say, okay, I want to test if it contains a slash, so I'm going here to conditional test text, and I'm going to say hot subfolder. There it is, the hot subfolder. Text ends with, no, yes, in this case correct, text ends with a slash, so test if text ends with slash. It's important to give useful variable names, output variable names, because in the whole process of your workflow you can select them later on, so the easier, the more descriptive they are, the easier they are to use. And then I could use an instruction that could say, okay, I want to do a text function, I want to strip that last slash, so I want to get the left part of the text. That would be one way. I could say, give me the last left part of the text, which means I want the left part after the last slash. This is one way of doing it. Another way of doing is just doing I want a sub part of the text. Then you would specify I want from character 0 until -1. So then it would give you everything except the last character. So let's do the last left part here. Last left, meaning that I'm picking up the hot subfolder, and I'm going to save it again in the hot subfolder, and then I'm gonna strip it. So I'm gonna say text to search is the slash, and that's how you can strip your last slash away. And you could say strip last slash, like that. That gives you a nice explanation. Another thing that we need to be careful about is that if in this case I say, okay, show location, where is this file, it will give me an error. Why? Because it was cataloged from its original location, which was the hot folder, but the standard functionality of a workflow, of a hot folder workflow, is at the end it deletes the file. So either your asset handling set that you're using for cataloging needs to use move to central asset location, so that it copies it to the vault or to another central asset location, then you're safe. Or you need to add a target folder here, so that before you catalog the file, that you first copy it to another location. You can hard code here a path in the script. I prefer to add my parameters here, so I'm saying I want here a target folder, and I'm also going to say I want a select folder dialog. So if you don't know what that is, here below are all the kind of selectors you can add. And then now when I say okay, I have this nice button and I can go and search for what I want. I'm lazy, so I'm gonna copy paste this here like that, and then I say it's like this. I have here already a target folder that I created up front, and so now I can use this. Here I have target folder. Make sure, since we are using it this way, I'm putting it here, I can now nicely say that I want, before to do anything, I want to create a new folder in the target folder. So now I'm going to say file folder, and I'm going to say store path as folder. The path, again, I could say C:, or I could go and select it, but I prefer to use the existing one that I created, and I can say if it doesn't exist. But what do I want to add? I'm going to say I want to recreate that same folder structure. So remember, we have this hot subfolder. Well, by adding this here, it will nicely reproduce the same thing. So now I got here target, and what I now can do is, before I catalog the file, I can say new instruction file folder, and I can copy the file. Which file? It knows that there's the hot file. Which folder? I call it target, and then file name, I'm not going to change it, I'm just going to copy it like that. And then I have a new object, a new file object that I can use here. I can catalog now the copied file. So this is an example of how you can do that. So let's throw away in my Cumulus catalog some of these test records. Let's say delete, I can say record only, there we go. And then let's reinstate the test folder. So before doing it, I made sure that I had a copy. So I'm now deleting this folder. I'm calling this simply the hot folder. Taking a copy that I don't lose it again. You see, at this point this is empty. At this point this is having the putter, and then another bird, and then another bird, and then another bird. So now we can reproduce that by running the workflow in the target folder. Okay, so show log, it tells you what it does, with the log information. You can see it adds all that nice information. Remember here, you can see that the slash is still at the end, but after the output to the log, we also in the script remove it. So if we have a look, now our birdies have no more slash at the end because we removed it. So here we go, all the different. And if now I say show location on one of these, it nicely points to the file in the target folder and has nicely reproduced the same folder structure. It has copied the file to that folder. So that was another example of how you can work with Roboflow using a hot folder workflow to catalog and copy a file to a new location. I traditionally try to put all my Cumulus elements of file system elements, everything that can change, I try to put on this side of the script. So you could also do the same, like for the open catalog instruction. Instead of having here the sample catalog, you could decide to have that here. You could say I'm using Cumulus catalog, Control AC, and you can say select catalog dialog. Here we go. And then I can say I want this in the sample catalog. And in my script I don't use, I use hash. This hash thing to pick up variables is just because I'm lazy. The hash does not work in a drop down because it expects you to select, so I have to do this copy paste thing. So another thing that I would usually do is not put in the asset handling set here hard coded, because again, when a script becomes a little bit bigger, it's very hard to find your way of what special elements